Hey everyone, this is Bruno, and today I wanted to talk about 4 bad mechanics in good games, conventionally good games, because there can be issues with games that you actually like. And the first mechanic I want to talk about is the spamming of patience kind of obstacles. And I just wanted to show you this little clip from Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. This is a scene where basically you have an excessive amount of enemies where you have to get close to them, get them to use their tongue attack, and then move forward. And this is a very long sequence because the entire point of this mechanic is to basically force you to get close, interact, wait, and move out. Now, I'm not against this mechanic entirely. It has its place, but when it is excessively done like this, it gets really frustrating. Now, you think you're done with it, but no, there's a whole set of mechanics. And this scene, by the way, goes on for multiple minutes. So it's not just those enemies, it's also this shit. And you can see it's just like, there's no real challenge here. You just have to wait to move on. You can probably think of a number of platformers that have this mechanic done excessively, but this is by far the worst I have ever seen. It's just so excessive. Just look at this. This should never be acceptable in anything. I think the main thing is just treat it like you have to combo it with other mechanics, because by itself, and yeah, this, by the way, it goes on forever. So I'm just gonna stop there. Basically, patient mechanics are really, really boring. Use them sparingly. They do have their place, but it's not fun doing them multiple times in a row. Now, the second sort of mechanic that I wanted to talk about is generic mechanics that retract from the game's hook. And I'm going to be talking about Pokemon, Generation 1 to 4. And I want to talk about why this right here is a major issue with the first 4 generations of Pokemon. So, the selling point of Pokemon is that you can get a team of really cool or cute looking monsters to to battle with. And the best way to play Pokemon in Generation 1 to 4 is to just overlevel your starter. Now, maybe you get a legendary along the way and you get a couple of HM slaves, but playing this game the fun way, in the way that the designers would have anticipated you, makes this game significantly harder. And that is because you have stuff like the speed stats and such. So, you have a speed stat, and that means if you have more speed than your opponent, you move first. And if you move first and you have enough attack stat, you can one-shot the opponent. So this means that even with a slight level advantage, you can basically sweep through an entire team. And this is easier. And this is how me, all my friends, everyone I knew as a kid played Pokemon. And you would only get a full team once you got to end game and you wanted to do anything remotely competitive. Because this just sucks, man. It sucks that basically this is the best way to play. So they solved this by a couple of different ways. So in Generation 5, they basically just made it so that if you are a much higher level than your opponent, you will gain less experience. This kind of makes endgame leveling really annoying, and it's kind of like a bit of a jarring thing. And then in Generation 6, they just made it so that the XP share would give non-battle participant Pokemon 50% bonus experience. So if you defeat a monster and get 100 experience for your main monster, every other Pokemon in your party gets 50 experience on top of the 100 that you get for your main monster. And there are pluses and minuses to this system, and I don't love them. I think that the best way that I've seen is actually with the ROM hacks, who will give you like a story reason as to why you can only level your Pokemon up to a certain level. So it's like the game starts, you can only go up to level 20, but once you complete the first gym, you'll go up to 25. Once you complete like the first story, you'll have like gain your trust in Pokemon on increase your skills to be able to raise them to level 28. And in Gym 2, once you get that badge, you can raise them up to 32. There's already these arbitrary limits in for like traded Pokemon, but I think stuff like this actually does go a long way, and you can justify it within the certain ROM hack story. Like, I really do think that ROM hacks, like Pokemon ROM hacks, have proven to me that Pokemon is actually fundamentally a really good game with a really good basis. Game Freak just suck. Now, the third mechanic I want to talk about is with Warcraft 3. So I'm just going to play a little bit of Grubby just to show you what Warcraft 3 is. But basically, it is a RTS game, and these guys will be gaining gold from their mine, and you can see the +10s pop up. Now, there is a mechanic called upkeep, and basically what this does is if you have upkeep, you are taxed on how much gold you get. So if you have in the Reign of Chaos, which is the original one, and that's the one I'm going to be focusing on because it's the worst case. The expansion does make it better. But if you have under 40 supply, then you get 10 gold. That's the normal. That's easy to understand. Now, if you are over 40 supply but under 70 supply, you gain 7 gold. And if you are over 70 supply, you gain 4 gold. So basically, you are taxed 30 or 60% of your gold by having a larger army. Now, I'm calling this a mechanics that throw a spanner in the works. This is not, like, temporarily this can be fun, but the entire, like, in RTS, you have a super awesome gameplay loop where you gather resources, you build buildings, and then with the buildings and the resources you gather, you build an army and destroy people. That's a really fun gameplay loop. So the fact that I now have to like be really cautious and just completely ignore a gameplay loop in order to remain like in the state where I'm not punished for gathering gold, I have to stop participating in a gameplay mechanic that I find fun. And I believe that they did this to keep the army sizes of Warcraft 3 small and more of a focus on micro, but at what cost? Because this just sucks. This legitimately is just awful. And it brings me to a point of like a discovery I made when doing Healed to Death, which I like to call the default state, which is what does the player expect of the default state? So in Warcraft 3, the default state is 10 gold. So I'm used to getting 10 gold. I start by getting 10 gold, but as the game progresses and as I build a larger army, I slowly get punished more and more and more. This is not, it's sudden, it's lame, and it doesn't feel good. It's like the game is teaching me to do things, and then it says, actually, you're going to be punished for doing this thing now, and it sucks. And let's just get to the default state. So the default state is what I like to call, basically, what are the player expectations of the normal behavior of the game? And something I did, I tested it out, was adding out of combat speed for movement. And I increased your movement speed when you're out of combat by 30%. So you are moving at 130% movement speed when you're out of combat. And when you're in combat, you move at 100% speed. Now, this should be a buff. This should feel like a buff, but because you start out of combat and you're used to the 130 speed, what it actually feels is like the out of combat speed is 100% and the combat speed is 77%. So it feels like getting in combat is a nerf. And this can be like fixed by making it so that if you get a horse and you equip a horse and you do like a small horse animation, then, oh, I'm in a horse riding state. So the default state, if this instead was like a horse that increases your movement speed by 30%, the default combat space would be 100, like this would be 100% and this would be 130%. And this is like the problem with upkeep. It is fundamentally, this is what I'm used to. These feel like massive punishments for engaging with what I've been taught is an appropriate gameplay loop. Now, the next and the final mechanic that I really do not like is when progress requires repetitive success. And I want to talk about karma gates in Rainworld. So Rainworld is a really unfair game. It's an ecosystem simulator where you are very near the bottom of the food chain. And a lot of the unfairness actually adds to the game. Like it really does what it does quite well. But there is one thing that I hate about it, and it's what caused me to quit, and it's these karma gates. So basically you would enter these karma gates, and what you would see right there is that you have a symbol, and that's your karma. And basically you can have 0 to 5 karma, I believe. I don't quite remember. And you need to have greater or equal karma from like this symbol to unlock the gate. And this normally would be fine. But the problem is you gain karma by getting enough food and by hibernating successfully. And you gain 1 karma every single time you do this. And you lose 1 karma every single time you die and you fail. And this is where the problem of Rainworld comes in. This game is incredibly unfair. I just wanted to show you one of the ways that I died. So this is a small clip. I'm just clicking the wrong one. There we go. So you can see I'm just recovering. I'm at the bottom karma. So I woke up, I go there, and I'm immediately spawned with an enemy that normally doesn't show up there, and I'm being chased from this side. So I run away from them, and I die from an off-screen projectile.
I'm done with Rainworld.
Like, you have multiple cases of this, where you can die with basically having 0 opportunity to actually win. So there's a lot of RNG in this game. And I've died by like just simply entering a pipe and just immediately being eaten. Or I was just about to enter a pipe, and for some reason, a gigantic lizard comes in without really warning me, and I just immediately die. I've had that happen. Normally it warns you, but in this case it didn't. And I have to successfully hibernate 5 times in a row in order to progress in this game. That doesn't feel good. Like, it feels great overcoming a challenge. But what Rainworld is requiring me to do with these karma gates is to complete 5 moderate challenges in a row with a moderately random outcome. And this is lame. I understand the game. I don't want to have to do a moderately difficult challenge 5 times in a row in order to progress. And every time I die, I move back 1. That's lame. So I think there could have been significantly more creative ways to unlock the karma gate. I think that the karma system is extraordinarily boring. Maybe there could have been something like you're gonna have to redesign how you hibernate. I reckon finding like one object and moving it to like from one part of the map to another part of the map to unlock a karma gate, and just having like the thing weigh you down a tiny bit, that would have been a more fun challenge, because you just have to do the one challenge and then it's all good. But this is just repetitive. You could have just also simply reduced the amount of karma you needed at the karma gate, or you just make it so that if you are able to hibernate on a completely full belly, so you increase the amount of food that you can get. So, because basically you can get 7 food, but you need 4 to survive hibernation or something. And basically, you can make it so that if you manage to get like 12 food, you get 2 karma instead of 1. That would have been a good way to like speed it up, but at the end of the day, requiring repetitive levels of success and punishing you for any failure is a really lame mechanic, and I don't like it. So those are 4 really bad mechanics in games that I think are pretty fun overall. I did quit Rain World because it's bullshit, but the few hours I spent playing it were awesome. The rest I have finished and stuff. They're perfectly fine games. So anyway, that's it from me. Have a good one. Bye.